Hello friends, I am Lakshman. You're watching Learn Programming by Lucky Sir YouTube channel. In this video, you will learn some of the frequently asked Spring entry questions and answers for 3 years experience. So let us look at one by one. The first question is, what are the benefits of IOC? The first point is, it will minimize the amount of code in your application. The second benefit is, it will make your application easy to test because it does not require any singletons or JNDI lookup mechanisms in your unit test cases. The third benefit is, it promotes loose coupling with minimal effort and least intrusive mechanism. The fourth benefit is, it supports eager instantiation and lazy loading of the services. The next question is, why Spring framework is needed? Spring framework is needed because it is very lightweight container and it is a framework and it supports IOC, that means inversion of controller, and it also supports AOP. AOP stands for aspect oriented programming. The next question is, what are the types of dependency injection Spring supports? Spring supports setter injection and constructor injection. Then what is setter injection? Setter based dependency injection is realized by calling setter methods on the user's beans after invoking a no argument constructor or no argument static factory method to instantiate their bean. Then what is constructor injection? Constructor based dependency injection is realized by invoking a constructor with a number of arguments, each representing a collaborator. Then the next question is, what bean scopes does Spring support? Explain them. The Spring framework supports following 5 scopes, 3 of which are available only if the users use a web-aware application context. The first one is Singleton. This scope the bean definition to a single instance for Spring IOC container. The next one is prototype. This scope a single bean definition to have any number of object instances. The third one is request. This scope a bean definition to an HTTP request, only valid in the context of a web-aware Spring application context. The next one is session. This scopes a bean definition to an HTTP session. It is only valid in the context of web-aware Spring application context. The next one is global session. This scopes a bean definition to a global HTTP session. It is only valid in the context of a web-aware of Spring application context. The next question is, what is BeanFactory? Have you used XMLBeanFactory in your project? Bean factory is a factory pattern which is based on IOC design principles. It is used to make a clear separation between application configuration and dependency from actual code. The XMLBeanFactory is one of the implementations of BeanFactory which we have used in our project. The org.springframework.beans.factory.xml.xmlBeanFactory is used to create bean instance defined in our XML file. Look at in the slide how we are creating factory. Bean factory equal new XML bean factory, or class path resource equal new class path resource. The next question is, what is the difference between singleton and prototype bean? Basically, a bean has scopes which define their existence on the application. The first one is singleton. It means single bean definition to a single object instance per Spring IOC container. Next one, prototype. It means a single bean definition to any number of object instances. Whatever beans we defined in Spring Framework or singleton beans. There is an attribute in bean tag named singleton. If specified true, then bean becomes singleton, and if set to false, then the bean becomes a prototype bean. By default, it is set to true. So all the beans in Spring Framework are by default singleton beans. The next question is, what is throw advice in Spring? Throw advice define the behavior when an exception occurs. It is an interface and it has no methods which need to be implemented. A class that implements this interface should have method with these signatures. Look at in the slide how the methods are implemented. Void samplethrow bracket throw table t. Void samplethrow method m object o object target throw tablet. The next question is, describe Spring DAO support. The DAO stands for the Data Access Object Support. In Spring makes it is easy to work with data access technologies like JDBC, Hibernate or JDO in a consistent way. This allows one to switch between the persistence technologies easily. It also allows you to code without worrying about catching exceptions that are specific to each of these technologies. The next question is, how can beans be made singleton or prototype? The bean tag has an attribute called singleton. The bean is singleton if its value is true. Otherwise, the bean is prototype. The last question is, how is Hibernate accessed using the Spring Framework? Hibernate can be accessed in the following two ways. By IOC, IOC stands for inversion of controller with a callback and Hibernate template. The second option is by applying an AOP interceptor and broadening the Hibernate DAO support. So that's all about some of the frequently asked Spring interview questions for 3 years experienced developers. So if you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest videos and also share to your friends and likes our videos. So thank you for visit. Have a nice day.